Thank you very much, Jane. We're here today. We're approaching the cliff at 200 miles an hour. The politicians and the bureaucrats are talking about not to worry. They're going to give the best care possible to those that survive at the bottom of the cliff. I'm a fourth-generation farmer, rancher, feedlot operator. I travel around the world and I talk to people about the proper amount of animal products to have in their diet as being zero. What I want to tell you is that I spent 45 years of my life in production agriculture. What we are doing today in America on our farms and ranches is absolutely, totally non-sustainable. We need to change. I was raised during the Second World War. We had the largest organic dairy farm in the state of Montana. My parents couldn't hire any help, and my mother and father were milking cows. That meant that I was raised by my grandparents. Back then, there was no such thing as swing slides or Lego blocks. My first job, 5 years old, was working in the garden. Birds, trees, and living soil. I thought it was the Garden of Eden. The only thing I ever wanted to be was a farmer. I spent the first 12 years of my life doing nothing but partying and playing football because I knew I was going to be a farmer. But when I went to that farm or that business to be run, I didn't have the tools to run a business. I was dumber than a post. I didn't let that bother me any. I did what most good red-blooded American youth, 12 years of going to school and not learning anything, I immediately went on to the university. I went to the university because I wanted to be an agribusinessman. Now, I couldn't spell it, but I knew that's what I wanted to be. I learned a thing about herbicides, pesticides, hormones, and medication. I soaked it up like a sponge. I was going to go home and take that organic farm and turn it into an agribusiness. I graduated with a degree in agriculture, and I went home and I said to my father, I said, "Move over, Pop. I'm going to take this one-horse business and I'm going to turn it into an agribusiness." And he said, "What in the world is that?" And I said to him, "Didn't you ever hear about better living through chemistry?" He said, "No, our job is to work with nature." I said, "That's old-fashioned. Our job is to feed a hungry world." I never met a chemical that I didn't like. Herbicides, pesticides, hormones, and medication. I took that one-horse farm, and over a period of years, I turned it into an operation where I had 7,000 head of cattle. I can't tell you what a thrill it was the first time I wrote a check for $1 million, and it didn't bounce. And I thought, man, I have arrived. I'm the Donald Trump of agriculture. But just when I was on top of the world, I got a wake-up call. I ended up paralyzed from the waist down. I had a tumor on my spinal cord, and the doctor told me, he said, "If that tumor is on the inside of the cord, you have less than 1 chance in 1,000,000 you will ever walk again." Here I am, waiting for an operation. A lot of things going through my mind. It was not about owning 7 combines at $100,000 apiece, or 20 tractors or 30 trucks. What was going through my mind is why I became a farmer. Birds, trees, and living soil. I saw the birds die, the trees die. I saw the soil change. And it was not until I was paralyzed I was willing to admit I was the problem, not the solution. They operated on me for 12 hours. Cut the bone off of the back of my spinal column. Sure enough, the tumor was on the inside of the cord. They split the covering on the cord. Not only was it on the inside, it was under the cord. They could not lift the cord up to get to the tumor. All they could do was pick a nerve, cut it. They took out a tumor the size of my thumb. I walked out of the hospital with a 1 in 1,000,000 operation. But I guarantee you I walked out a much different individual. I knew that it was not about more land or more cattle or more equipment. There was more to it than just being bigger and richer. I went to my banker and I said to him, I need your help. We need to start farming with nature. My banker, he reared back in his chair and he said, what in the world does that mean? I said, I think we need to become organic farmers. And he looked at me and he said, you want me to lend you money? You're not going to share it with my other customers, the chemical dealer, the pharmaceutical dealer, the fertilizer dealer? He said, there will never be a day like that. And so 1983, I sold my farm, I paid my debts, and I started working with other farmers to start producing food correctly. I learned that there's a lot of money out there that do not want people to know the truth. I started talking to people about not eating animals. Talked to them about mad cow disease. They thought I was the one that had holes in my brain because they'd never heard of it. But I ended up on the Oprah show. I told a few million people that we were grinding up cows and feeding them back to cows. That we were scraping up roadkill, deer, elk, possum, raccoons, and we were feeding those back to cows. And then we were taking euthanized pets, dogs and cats, full of chemicals that were used to kill them. The city of Los Angeles alone, 200 tons of dogs and cats a month are being ground up and put back into the feed for our pets or our food animals. Oprah, her eyes were as big as saucers. She turned around and looked at the guy from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and said, Dr. Weber, are we feeding cows to cows? I will never forget what he had to say.